your stuff. We're good. It'll be all right. So, well, thank you all for coming out today. I really appreciate it. This is a very important topic and something that needs to be addressed here in Arizona. I'm Carine Werner, and I represent Legislative District 4. Alongside me, we have lawmakers from both the Senate and the House, and Maricopa County Attorney Rachel Mitchell, who will also provide comments today, along with Senator Champ and two of our advocates. Bridget Vega and Katie Pearson have been advocates and do a lot of work in our child safety in our communities, and they will be sharing some thoughts with us as well. And we have the Holcomb family, whose lives have been turned upside down by the subject matter we're about to discuss. Where are you guys? There you are. Come on up a little bit. And we'll also have Gretchen Jacobs, mom to Ava, a nonverbal, autistic, former student in my district who was horrifically sexually abused repeatedly. And if this law had been in place, she would have not been sexually abused at all. That is the impact of what we're here for today. Child predators are flying under the radar in our K-12 school districts. And while no students should be in and around these predators, neither should the staff. And sadly, what I have seen is some school administrators are attempting to handle these cases on their own, at times sweeping the offenses under the rug, unknowingly or knowingly, and failing to hold these predators accountable, which ultimately allows the victimization continue, whether with different students or the next school that they migrate to. In 1995, the creation of the investigative unit at Board of Education was formed. And all they were to do is to investigate unprofessional conduct and immoral conduct in our K-12 schools. In 2023 alone, 39% of all adjudicated cases were sexual misconduct with students. For context, there was 272 cases adjudicated. 106 were sexual misconduct with students. Senate Bill 1437 was inspired by the numerous disturbing cases that have come to light during my service as a governing board member. Inappropriate touching of students, educators requesting nudes through Snapchat, teachers having sex with teens, they're responsible for educating. Contracted Uber-style transportation services that transport our most vulnerable students are sexually assaulting students. So this is just a snapshot of the irreparable harm that is happening by those we are supposed to trust. 1437 will protect students, provide transparency and a clear path to reporting, and ensure that sexual predators are brought to justice under the full force of the law. This bill adds governing board members, as well as substitute teachers and school safety officers, to the list of individuals who are required to report to law enforcement agencies any cases of sexual misconduct by a public school employee. I have worked with stakeholders to ensure the bill does not remove school resource officers from the process, but instead adds additional opportunities for reporting to be made directly to law enforcement. And this is really a supplement and a force multiplier to keep our kids safe. Our children must be protected from those who abuse their trusted positions. And with that, I bring up Rachel Mitchell, County Attorney.
Well, first of all, thank you, Senator Werner, and other representatives and senators and the families and members of the media for being here today. As Senator Werner mentioned to you, I'm here in support of Senate Bill 1437. The clarification to the current law that this bill delivers is absolutely critical in prosecuting child offenders. When a child discloses to a mandatory reporter that they are being abused by a teacher, coach, any school official, or really anyone at all, that person has a duty under current Arizona law to report to a police department the allegations and evidence of child abuse. The way it stands right now, we at the Maricopa County Attorney's Office are learning of cases where a child will report the abuse to a school personnel, and the administrator or someone else at the school will interview the child or direct somebody within the school to interview the child. And in some cases, they will report the allegations to the school resource officer, but it will end there. Under Arizona law, each county has to have its own child abuse protocol, and schools must know that protocol and should follow that protocol. As a career sex crimes prosecutor, I have trained personnel, school personnel, on the law and the protocol that must be followed. We are aware of several scenarios like the one that I just described that have recently been brought to our attention, and the law is not being followed. Senate Bill 1437 will clarify the law, and here's what it does. It adds a reporting requirement to the law that a school administrator must report the allegation to a law enforcement agency. Reporting an incident to a school resource officer will not satisfy this requirement. Student victims must be interviewed by investigators who have been trained specially to do this type of delicate work, and that training has to comport with the child abuse protocol of the county. Let me be very clear. School personnel and SROs and school safety officers should not be interviewing children about these types of allegations. The school also needs to notify, in addition to the police, the Department of Child Safety if this is an in-home situation. The school staff member to whom the child disclosed must be the one that makes the report. You cannot pass along the duty to report by telling a boss. You cannot pass off the duty to report by reporting it, for example, to the principal. And in speaking of those who are mandated reporters, the bill will add substitute teachers and school board members to the list of mandatory reporters. This is important because we've had cases go nowhere because the school improperly handles the initial report. A school official who does not follow the child abuse protocol could be the difference, and has been the difference, between achieving justice for the victim or the offender not being held accountable at all. So let me be very clear. I've worked with schools my entire career. I've worked on this law at various times in my career, and the last thing that I want to do is prosecute somebody for failing to report. But I have, and I will. In the next few days, the Maricopa County Attorney's Office will be making available a short video for school personnel to review that talks about where they can get the state law mandated training that they are mandated to get under the law that deals with the mandatory reporting law. So that will be released from my office in the next few days. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. For those of you that don't know me, my name is Janae Shamp. I'm the Arizona Senate Majority Leader, and I'm out of District 29. And I'm here to make two statements. I'm so very grateful for the knowledge and the expertise and the people coming together to continue to do what I have set out to do since I got down here, and that's to make pedophiles' lives hell. Thank you.
Good morning. I stand here before you today as a voice for the voiceless and as a community advocate and a mother in support of SB 1437. We must confront the uncomfortable truths within our communities. We cannot turn a blind eye. We have seen firsthand the trauma and devastation that has plagued our children and communities. This bill will raise awareness and give opportunity to shift the culture of no longer turning a blind eye. Proximity matters. SB 1437 will strengthen the ability to hold mandatory reporters accountable. But let's also look at the term mandatory supporters so we can prevent it before any neglect or abuse happens. It will prevent the continued infliction of emotional distress and physical harm on our youth and on our communities. We must not allow abusers to perpetuate the violence and abuse, causing long-lasting damage to young lives and to the fabric of our society. It also gives an extra layer of support and confronts the grooming and luring of children, including addressing the legal action for those who fail to report, or in cases I've advocated for victims where there was complicit trusted adults. Enough is enough. It has gone unchecked for far too long. Thank you, Senator Werner, Rachel Mitchell's office, and everyone who worked hard on this bill to help fill in the gaps to ensure protection for our children when they do come forward, and working hard to create a safer environment and brighter future for our children. Thank you to all of the victims for staying strong, as it has been an uphill battle, and it is not easy. Please know you are not alone. I pray that you continue to stand encouraged as you've continued to speak your truth, standing in the face of adversity, and have given so many other children a voice. Please know we hear you, we see you, we stand by you, we support you, we believe you. You are enough. Your life is priceless and you matter. We love you. Please remember, God has not given us a spirit of fear, but of power and love and a sound mind. 2 Timothy 1:7. Take your candle and go light your world. Thank you. Bridget Vega, Bridget Vega, community advocate.
Good morning. Thank you all for being here. My name is Katie McPherson. I'm a youth mental health advocate and mother of 4 teenagers in the East Valley. Abuse and violence can only persist if conditions and environments allow for it. According to the Department of Education, 1 in 10 students will be sexually abused during their K-12 experience. The average age of the educator is 36, and he or she is usually under the employment of their 3rd school. The average age of the victim is 15. Abusers know this age well because you get less time for the crime when your victims are this age. There are 261 public school districts within Arizona. In the vast majority of these districts, the student who reports sexual or other types of behavioral abuse can typically count on a proper and professional response from leadership. Unfortunately, there are districts within our state that have developed a complicit and shameful culture that have allowed them to ignore, circumvent, or even exploit weaknesses in the current statute, and in ways that have effectively shielded numerous predatory actors, resulting in many victims with outlooks such as drug and alcohol addiction, drug abuse, broken relationships and marriages, and even attempts of suicide. Risk retention insurance pools and their overly aggressive law firms have additionally placed the interests of the school districts they protect over the more important interests of student safety and well-being. Thank you to Senator Werner, County Attorney Mitchell, and their honorable colleagues on both sides of the aisle. Senate Bill 1437 will completely alleviate the burden of investigative responsibility from unqualified school administrators for certain types of complaints and place it rightly in the hands of trained professionals. Victims will experience greatly improved rights to proper and professional law enforcement investigations. Senate Bill 1437 also makes exceptionally clear to all school personnel what their true responsibilities and deadlines are in regard to reporting properly. It also holds them extremely accountable for failing to take their protective duties seriously. This is one bill that all of those involved in education will need to read and learn. Senate Bill 1437 is solely the product of past victims and child safety advocates coming together, regardless of political affiliation, to analyze which statutory weaknesses still exist and find legislative remedies to close the gaps. To my fellow Arizonans, I urge us all to take this opportunity to join together and urge Governor Katie Hobbs to sign the most beneficial school safety bill in decades. Thank you.
Thank you for coming out today. I really appreciate it, and I appreciate shining a light on this issue.
If you want to ask a few questions, now is your time to do so.
Senator Carine at 12 News, would you support having these requirements also for private schools?
It includes all schools.
And in terms of protecting children in all schools, would you support proposals that Democrats have put forth in the last couple of years of adding fingerprint clearance requirements?
There is a bill going through now. I believe it's Senator Miranda's, and so people who or individuals who work with our students should be fingerprinted. Yep.
My question is, do you see any obstacles going through this bill with the governor's office on the floor? Or is it mandated?
I would certainly hope that the governor would sign this bill. I would have some questions if she didn't.
That's why I wanted to ask you that question.
Yeah.
Because everything gets weeded out. So
It will be interesting to watch. I certainly hope that she would not veto a bill that protects kids and helps reporters.
thank you, Senator.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you guys for coming out here today. We really appreciate it. And I really want to thank those who it took a lot of courage to be here today. Really appreciate that. I think that should be really highlighted as well.
Absolutely.
My main question, in our discussion today, we talked a lot about adult predators, but some parents are really concerned about other children, for example, sending out pictures of young women, and this really making their lives absolutely emotional hell. Is there some consideration over how we can try to legislate that and make it a safer place for children?
Absolutely. There is a bill coming through related to social media in schools, but parents also have to really talk to their children. I know as a parent, my nighttime reading was going through my kids' phones. They're in college now, I don't do that anymore, but parents have to get involved. They have to be engaged with their kids and find out what they're doing on their phones when it comes to small children. And I did it up through high school. My kids probably hated me for that, but I thought it was important. And so again, there is a bill coming, I think it's coming from the House related to this, but it also is a parent issue, and parents really have to get involved with their kids and talk to them about the dangers, and so it really becomes a family issue. So.
Jamar, go ahead.
Senator, could you speak to more about why board members are involved in this bill? If there have been any incidents where a board member wrote something that didn't report
So another place in statute, governing board members are mentioned as mandatory reporters, but we wanted to make it really clear. And as a governing board member, when there have been incidents that have come through my district, we are automatically put on, we get an email that we are not to talk to them, and this is attorney-client privilege. So me reporting to somebody, that's what would happen inside of the schools, at least in my district.
So this would change that, allow you to talk to someone.
Cameron?
Yeah, County Attorney Mitchell mentioned that there have been multiple cases. Presumably this has been an issue for a long time. Why is it just now? Why just now?
Well, I noticed it. I've seen it. And I'm not going to let another child be sexually abused while I'm in a position to make a difference and have that not happen. And privately, I can share stories with you that will probably turn your stomach.
Would this apply to other people, camp counselors, tutors, coaches, librarians?
So it's any school personnel.
What about camp counselors?
Well, any school personnel. So if they're on a school campus, that would be covered. Yeah.
Yeah. At what point in the process would parents or the community be made aware of an accusation? And if it's before formal charges are filed, do you fear that lives could be ruined
actually, with this law in place, being that there's a path of reporting, less people would find out about it. So if there was something that was reported and it was questionable, that person is not going to be talked about. So we had an incident in my district where it was reported to an administrator who talked to another administrator, removed the evidence, and next thing you know, you have an upset reporter, and they start talking, and that's when things go to the media. And one of the conversations that I did have when we were meeting with stakeholders was to really bring that down so that it's not so no lives are being ruined, and this will help with tempering that.
Oh, go ahead, Margarita.
Yeah.
Or Manuelita.
So I have a question too,
Yeah.
also following up on some of these cases where school administrators have not reported it. What happens in those instances? Is there any follow-up? Do they report it to the State Board of Education? What happens in those cases where they don't get reported to?
So I think that most administrators, when they don't report, I don't think they're doing that out of malice. I think it's just there's a lack of knowledge. And a lot of times they will just do the investigations in-house, which is where, the wheels fall off the wagon here. And so it may get reported to Board of Education. However, by then the evidence is gone. And what County Attorney Mitchell said is, the people that interview, that are trained to interview students who have had experienced sexual misconduct have to be interviewed in a specific way, and only trained law enforcement, DCS, child help, those type of people that do it on a regular basis can do that. And so most times when a child has been sexually abused, they're told by their abuser not to tell anyone. And so it just becomes so important that the right people interview them. And I don't fault an administrator that didn't know that they were supposed to call law enforcement at all. But currently they have immunity. They can claim they didn't know. That's the way the law is. Good.
Any other reporters who haven't asked questions? Have any? No?
Just a follow-up for Senator Champin show. Same question. Would you ensure that final legislation also includes private schools, given the growing number of publicly funded students who are in private schools?
I believe that Senator Werner already spoke to the fact that it already does. So that's more of a question for her as the bill process works, as the bill sponsor.
And in regards to fingerprint clearance requirements?
There's currently a bill going through that requires fingerprinting.
It doesn't have to do with
Oh, thank you.
bill.
Yeah, right. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you very much.
I don't have a problem supporting fingerprints.
Can I do one more?
Thank you.
Well, it's more like an idea. What about, I know that this is about children in K-12, but in public schools, there are also public universities where the students might be adults. There could also be internal handling of sexual assault reporting. What about, would you as lawmakers consider doing a bill for our university students?
I would absolutely look into it.
Okay,
Yeah, I would be happy to.
Are we allowed to ask questions if we're not in the media?
You're welcome to approach
I
the
have
senator
one.
if you want to ask her
Is there
a
any-
question directly.
My name's Patrick Manning. Thank you. This is a wonderfully written bill, and I really appreciate it. It's amazing. One question is, a lot of these administrators, when they go to their hearings with the State Board of Education, their legal expenses are being covered with public money through the state risk retention trust pool, for lack of a better word. Is there anything that we can do maybe in the future, or maybe an adjustment to this bill, or maybe that's too late, to kind of shut that down so that that they've got to at least pay for their own defenses rather than the school district just blanket backing them?
I don't know if that would be in this bill, but definitely happy to have the conversation and see
Thank
where
you.
that would fit in. Yeah. Okay, thank you.
Oh yeah, go ahead. Bridget.